Boys, I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this video. Why trucking is cooking right now, and it's cooking in a very positive way. You ready? Sit down, because y'all gonna get mad. Anyways, so it's kind of hard to say this, but it's very important to say this. Trucking is going through a cleaning process in the literal form of cooking. It is literally cooking everyone through right now. Primarily, we created this issue. We created a problem, and now the universe needs to solve it. Now it needs to clean itself out. You always have those people, they will flock where the money is at. They won't specialize in something, they won't refine their craft, but they're just flocking from industry to industry, career to career. Hey, there's nothing wrong in finding yourself in a certain career, but don't ever go and jump from career to career just because you don't see the money in it, just because it's not adding up. The ultimate question, why are certain people successful in the same exact industry while others are going bankrupt? It's the simple answer, in my opinion, is people doing what they're good at / what they love. You don't have to exactly love what you do, but you have to, you gotta perfect your craft, and you'll be good at it. And by perfecting it, you become better and better. Now, in the literal form of cooking, when you cook something, a lot of the vapors, so let's take everybody knows how gold gets purified, right? You put it through a fire and it purifies, right? It separates itself. So that's what's going on with trucking right now. The industry was doing really hot. You know, I'd say the industry was doing just fine for the last couple years. You had a minor roller coaster, but right now we're going through an extreme roller coaster, and people are scrambling. You know, if you're new to this channel, I know I talk a lot about trucks, but I do own 2 trucking companies, and believe me, I'm feeling it. So I think it's absolutely wonderful what's going on, not on a political sense, but the actual process of the trucking industry, what it's going through, how it's cleaning itself up. Because, I mean, hot-shotting kind of fired up. Keep in mind, I got into hot-shotting pretty much on the dot 12 years ago. A lot of guys don't realize it, you know. You got these guys on YouTube talking about this and that, how wonderful or how horrible something is. Shoot, they've been in the business for a year. What in the world did they know about this business? Just because they've seen it once makes it a fact, but doesn't make it, call it a standard, if you would. It's not a standard. So in the last 12 years, I'm not saying I know it all, but I've seen a lot more than average Joe on YouTube nowadays talking about hot-shotting, okay? Hot-shotting, specifically, you know, 1 ton with a gooseneck, the demand of it has went up and down. Kind of follows the trucking industry. I know y'all gonna be like, Paul, you lost your mind. No, I haven't, guys. It's a niche. It's a specialty. You gotta run it as a specialty. You can't just default it as a trucking company and just hauling freight. You gotta build your customers that need a hot shot. There are certain loads that cannot be either picked up by a full-size semi, given the location, or delivered by, you know, you can't deliver it with anything longer than X amount of feet or X amount of width. Width is not an issue because, you know, it's a standard 102 width, right, on the trailers. But the length in a lot of cases are, in some it's a weight restriction. You know, certain bridges, we haul a lot of steel and certain constructions that are going up, and a lot of times it's residential, majority of the times commercial, like industrious, but sometimes it's private commercial. You know, it's out there in the boonies, some really nice high-end little area in the forest, and there's an old bridge that you need to cross, and you just can't go there with a semi because it you know, exceeds the limits. So I've attempted to make this video so many times, and I've went off because I'm opening a can of worms here. Most often asked, how do I price out how do I bid? How do you bid out your jobs? Guys, you got to understand what you're bidding on. Don't go competing with an 18-wheeler. That is not your niche. That is not your specialty. Don't go and try to, take their partial. Take their partial when they don't want to take it, but don't go in competing with semis. Have your own line. Have your own niche and take on those jobs that they can't. I just spoke about them. Like you learn about this load that needs to go, let's say the city, the dead center of Seattle, and it goes out there in the boonies. He's not going to take it. He don't want to be middle of Seattle. He will take that load when everything else fails. You take that load, bid it right, bid it competitively. Don't cut yourself at $2 a mile or whatever nonsense nowadays a lot of people are going off of. But know your operating expense and know what you're bidding on. Don't just go hammering people at $10 a mile or 20. And in some cases that's not enough. You got to hit the guy at $150 a mile or whatever the case may be. Guys, I got to put y'all on pause real quick. Fix this camera. Back to what I was saying. Know your expenses and make a living off of it. Don't go try to make a quick buck and what I mean by make a living, calculate for the long run. Don't come in, try to gouge someone and take off. If you have to haul, okay, let me rewind and give you a little base story of what I'm coming from. I had to charge a guy $1,500 for a 92-mile round trip. That is from my yard to my yard. And obviously, he called me. He's like, Paul, I really need this done. And I'm like, okay, I understand. I'm sorry, it's going to be pretty expensive for you. Do you have any other options? I'd really go that way. He's like, no, Paul, I trust you. I want you to do this job. I'm like, well, that's the problem with your job. I can't give it to my guys. I'm not going to put them in that situation. I had to haul a piece of equipment, middle of a snowstorm. What does that mean? I'm jeopardizing my equipment. I felt comfortable with my equipment and everything, but you're always running the risk of hurting, breaking, wrecking your stuff. And this guy was adamant about him. So I charged him $1,500 from my shop to my shop. So more than half that mileage was empty mileage. Was it proper? Yes, it was absolutely proper for the situation. That tractor should have never been moved. It just so happened a little town outside of Spokane, one of their main tractors broke down, and as I said, there was a snowstorm and they really needed this tractor to move their snow. Hence that's why I always have really nice equipment personally, and I run expensive tires, because if I have to go somewhere in the winter, it's usually always middle of middle of nowhere. It's just have no business being out there, but I'm out there, saving the day. So in those situations, you don't come in at $100 an hour. You don't come in at any reasonable rate. You give them your rate and you explain it to them why. Don't just sit there and hit them at that rate and expect them to give you business. Explain it to them, like, dude, we're right middle of a snowstorm. He's like, yeah, that's exactly why I need my tractor, bro. And that's normal. That's perfectly fine. He was happy to pay that bill. He had his equipment. Now, if I was an average Joe and needed a quote at $2 a mile, but it's an extreme case, let me charge the guy at $3 a mile, and half those miles were loaded, the other half, well, I should probably charge them $2 a mile, because half of them, all miles. Because, don't do that crap, man. You're jeopardizing. You're putting so much on the line. And frankly, if this guy wasn't a regular customer, I wouldn't even do it for $1,500, risking my life, risking my equipment and all that. Obviously, I was careful, I was full alert and aware of what I was doing, and that's why I could keep my truck and trailer in one piece and serve my customers. But, another time something needs to get moved, a regular customer's calling and asking about a pallet getting moved. And as long as they're giving me time, I will always give them a smoking deal. As long as it's going to a hot location, I could throw it in with something else, that's great. But as soon as they call me and be like, I really need to get this done. I need to get it done ASAP, and I can't pay you more than X amount. Well, then I just can't do your run, bro. I just cannot do your run, because this is what I need, and this is what it's going to take. And say it respectfully. Don't go in demanding to your customers. No. Come in respectfully. Like, sir, I can't remember what the numbers were, but we were so far apart. I don't want to make up a story. I just can't recall, but the customer was so far off of what I needed, and I'm like, bro, I'm asking you politely, please go find someone else to do this. And keep in mind, this was a new customer, and I'm like, I don't want to do this job at the rate or the budget that you have. I just can't. I can't make it work with my calculation and my bills and my risk involved. A lot of guys don't calculate their risk. That's the biggest, dumbest thing you can do. Don't ever quote a rate. You know, I'll tell you, anything under 100 miles, don't ever do your buck a mile or your mile, your dollar per mile of value and what it could come out to. At that point, you need to set. Hold on a second, guys. At that point, you need to set your hourly rate, what you want to make for that hour with you as a driver and your equipment. Okay, guys, I will back the heck out of that topic because I get asked so often. I know this is the tip of the iceberg, but this is the best advice I could give one. Back to the trucking. What's really going on with trucking? Good stuff's going on with trucking. It's getting cleaned out. Those guys that flocked in for a quick buck, they're the frick out already. And those guys that want to make it, they will. You put that effort in, and there's plenty of work out there. You just got to get hooked up with the right people, and everyone's going to be asking, where are the right people? You need to be the right person. You, as the operator, need to give the right quotes. You, as the operator, need to keep your equipment in shape, top-notch, good-looking, and good operating equipment. Then you will be in business. Then you could charge someone. Guys, the load board is horrendous. It is scary what the load board is doing, and I am not staying afloat. I am not staying in business because I'm running my trucks off the load board. Do we take the loads off the load board? Some, yes, but my company isn't held by the load board. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. For the curious ones, obviously I've spoke about hot-shotting primarily, but we do temperature-controlled products, reefers, 53-foot boxes with a refrigerator on it. So anyways, I know I opened a can of worms, and I've been reluctant. I've kind of held off on making this video, but right now people are hurting left and right. And I'll squeeze this in there. The main reason why I don't have owner-ups, except one individual in the hot-shotting group of my trucks, is specifically for that. A lot of guys get the misconception, misinterpretation, wrong pictures, wrong reasons they get into hot-shotting. And then you're hurt as a company owner because they've neglected to do their services as far as tire rotation, just overall, Yeah, you could run a tight shift or a tight group of guys and have inspections in place, and we do on the big rigs. I still take on guys with their own equipment on the big rigs, but the small rigs, I have struggled so bad. I mean, I've had family, I've had friends, and no, family, they did a really good job. They said, listen, Paul, you do what you got to do and keep these trucks to your standards. So I was okay with family, but friends, man, I've paid a dear price with friends. They try to save $1 and they hurt your company worth thousands of dollars. In one case, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It almost ended in a lawsuit. I'm not going to get into that. Anyways, I'm not pulling your legs, guys. It is no joke out there. It is serious business, and lives are on the line. These guys, you think DOT, okay, not all DOT, sorry guys, I will say this and I'll wrap up the video. Not all DOT are bad guys. It's just DOT sees the first hand of these knuckleheads operating their equipment on the road with no brakes. No real tire. Now, that tire consists of a bunch of wire sticking out of it, It's more of a grinder wheel than an actual rubber tire, okay? these guys see firsthand the knuckleheads being out there. That's why in a lot of cases they're very aggressive. Some DOTs need to go elsewhere. They need to go elsewhere. Some DOT, you know, but a lot of them are decent dudes out there. They're just fed up with unnecessary, or I shouldn't say unnecessary. It's never necessary to be in an accident, but 100% avoidable accident, but the operator failed to maintain their equipment, and here you have a pile up. Here you have major issues, major catastrophic, I mean, a lot of hurt people, in some cases dead people. Sorry that I have to say it that way, you know, just because one dude decided to neglect. So gotta understand them. You know, when you come across the scales and you're an operator, have your stuff in line. We're talking paperwork, we're talking equipment, you know, yes sir, no sir. Don't sit there and try to be best buds with them. Be respectful. They want paperwork, hand them a binder of your paperwork, neatly sorted. They want to inspect your equipment, you know, like annual fire extinguisher. Just it's simple, it's basic. Have them in line, they'll stay out of your hair. Once in a blue moon, you'll come across a knucklehead DOT. Just stay quiet as much as you could help it. Go through that. Data queue's a joke, so keep your mouth shut as much as you can if you come across that knucklehead DOT officers just trying to find their next victim. I heard a video yesterday. So yeah, guys, it's not a rant. It's, I guess you can label it whatever you want, but being in the business for 12 years, this is what I've found. This is what I saw. Run your company. Don't let people run your company. You gotta run your company as an operator. And I just said I don't take on people with their own equipment. What should they do? Go out and get your own operating authority. Get, you know, run your own show. Don't let someone tell you that. Don't let anyone tell you what to do. Not because you're an ego, but not because you got an ego problem, but because you know what you want and you build a foundation. You build a right proper foundation as far as how strong it is. You could build a house. You could build a good house on it, but no matter how pretty your house is, if you don't got the right foundation on it, just forget it, man. Scrap it. Start over. Anyways, as always, may the Lord bless you. May Almighty find day. And in the comment section, let me know if you guys want me to branch off. I feel like I should probably help a lot of you guys. I feel like I can help quite a few guys out there by just kind of having a series of these videos. Do's and don'ts, what to look for and how to construct a trucking company, and what I think is proper. Doesn't necessarily mean it is proper, but from my experience, what I found proper. Anyways, as always, may the Lord bless you. May Almighty find day. And in that comment section, let me know, and I give you my word, I will find the time and I'll make those videos if there's
recalculation.